You know, when I was your age, I did something that my mother said to me. She said, Tunde, this is bigger than you. I was about to write in SSCE when I gave my life to Jesus. And I wrote my SSCE. And then I had to let my parents know about my decision. You see, for some of you, you had it lucky. You had it lucky. You're coming from Christian home. In fact, for some of you, if you go back home now and say you have received Jesus as your Lord and personal Savior, they will fry chicken for you. For some of you, listen. Because it could have been answered prayer. You going home to tell them would have been answered prayer from God or of your parents. Your parents have been praying and are saying, God, deliver this person. When I got home and I told my parent, drama happened. In fact, listen, it was so bad that they kicked me out of house. My mother said, she said, listen, she said, your father will soon come back. My father was a military man. He was in Somalia then. And my mother said, she said, your father will soon come back. You dare not remain on this Jesus madness. You better recount before he comes back. Because when he comes back, you will not have it easy. And you know the wayo that my mother told me? My mother said, she said, see, I have nothing against this Jesus. Can you pedal it down now? When you have graduated and you are now on your own, you can convert. You will be taking good care of yourself. But if your father comes back and you tell him you are a Christian, bye-bye to your school. Sir, I didn't know where that boldness and strength came from. I told mommy, I said, mommy, I wait for daddy to come back. When he came back, he gathered the whole family. We are 7 of us in our house. And the 7 of us he gathered. And my father said, I'm the first. My father said to my younger one, he said, I want to use your elder brother as an example. He said, he is a disappointment to this family. And my mother added, my mother said, he is a waste of the womb. My mother said, if I had known that this is the way you would disgrace this family. Please, these things that I'm saying, check with my wife. My mother brought it up and said, I have refused to forgive her last year. She was telling my wife, she said, your husband has refused to forgive me for that statement. I said, honestly, I have forgiven you. My mother said, if I had known that this is the way you will bring shame to this family to become a Christian, I would have aborted you. Sir, I stood my ground. Can I give you good news? They said, if I give my life to Jesus, I will not finish school. Sir, I'm a PhD holder today. What was said by my mother, in fact, I remember bringing my certificate, my NYSC certificate, to my father, my late father, and he couldn't believe it. He looked at me. He said, don't come and scam me here. It was my wife who insisted. My wife said, then we were courting. And she said to me, she said, go to your father. Whatever might have happened, go and show him and get his blessing. My late father drew a line. He said, if you cross this part, I will chop off your neck. He said, I don't want your deceit. It was when I was to do my master's that my wife still insists. She said, go and tell daddy. Let's go home. So I went home. And that was the first time I saw my father broke down in tears. Listen. Don't ruin your future today. Don't please your friends today and regret the future. That's why I say, some of you, we must settle a matter here. Sir, did I suffer? Yes, sir, I did. Oh, but in the midst of it, there was joy. Joy of serving the Lord. In fact, when I was in Bauchi, I never came back home because I didn't have a home to come back to. So when I just go to school, see, it was so bad that I had to use these hands to carry block and concrete to go to school. Not because I didn't have parents that could pay my fees, but because I had to make a decision for Jesus. Brethren, you can't be bold. And my mother keeps saying it today. She said, what got over you? You were just about 15 years when you started confronting us. And what does she call confrontation? When I started making my way right with the Lord. She said, you are too small for this thing that you want to do. But in fact, some Christians were telling me, they said somebody can be a secret disciple for Jesus. I don't know, me, I couldn't hold it inside. In fact, I wrote a letter to my father. I said, Daddy, I am happy to tell you that I have just received Jesus as my Lord and personal Savior. At the end of the letter, I now wrote, I said to him, I said, but my gari and kulikuli has finished. I was in SPS Kefi here, SPS Kefi. I said, my gari, sugar, and kulikuli has finished. So my father wrote back to me. The letter is still in my house. He wrote back to me. He said, since you have given your life to Jesus, go and meet Jesus to pay your school fees. Go and tell him to give you gari, sugar, and kulikuli. Since you now belong to him. Can I tell you something? Jesus fed me with more than kulikuli. He fed me with more than gari. Oh, I was on campus. I was giving loans to my friends. Not because of anything, because God honors his name in the life of his own children. Can I assure you, don't leave this place without making a decision.